Alright, so today we're doing an oil pan on a Mazda Speed Protege. It's the same on a regular Protege, or even like a 4-cylinder Ford Probe. All really similar. So yeah, let's get to work. Alright, so with it being an oil pan, the whole reason we're doing this is because we have an oil leak. So you're going to want to get the surface that you're working on nice and dry. I got a bunch of drying agent there. We're going to get this all dried up, get this agent out of here, so that way we can work underneath it and then drain the oil. Alright, so for this job, it's important to get the car as high as possible. You can notice I already got the car on jack stands, but it's just not nearly high enough, so we're going to try to get up higher. This is my favorite jack point to use on the Protege here. It's under this front, almost like forward cross member right here. Very front, you can jack up the whole car. It doesn't actually go up level, so you just have to remember to count your teeth on the actual jack stands when you're putting it back down. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and drain the oil. I think it's really important. Do not use a cork gasket when you're doing this. Just use RTV. The reason I'm doing this in the first place is because I used a cork gasket and it's just failed on me. It's a piece of crap. Headshot. When you're letting that oil drain, you're going to want to let as much drain out as possible. So once your oil's fully drained, you're going to go ahead and put your oil cap back in there, just in case there's any residual that somehow didn't get out. When you're moving it around, you don't want it to just spill all over you, startle you, stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and do that. Then we're going to go ahead and just zip off the actual bolts for the oil pan. Alright, so these bolts underneath here are all 12 millimeter. I'm going to use this impact gun. You're going to go around the oil pan, undo all the bolts. Right there. I'm going to use the impact for most of them. Alright, so on this one, which is right underneath where the exhaust is. Yeah, let me get in there. I used a bendy end clicky wrench. Here, focus. There we go. And you're able to just get in there. You can't turn it a whole lot, but a lot easier than breaking your knuckles trying to get this guy out here. This cork gasket is worthless. Like literally worthless. This is brand new and it failed. So you gotta get that off. We're gonna use RTV like what originally came on it. But you can just see why this stuff is so bad just by how it comes off. Like it just leaves so much residue on this guy. It is going to be difficult to get this thing cleaned up the way we want to. I mean, it's just like, look at this thing. It just falls apart. This is a worthless material for sure. We've got like little bits of residue. You don't want anything on here. You want to clean this guy completely up. I've just been using a razor blade, and I sprayed on some automotive adhesive remover. Once you heat it up and use a little brake clean on it, this gasket material comes off way easier. Look at that. Got under the edge, and then you can just peel it right off. I mean, pretty much the heavier solvent you can use, the better luck you're going to have getting these gaskets off. So, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to spray this guy down. You're going to want to wear eye protection. I don't know if you can see it, but we got full face protection going here. Basically, you just want to clean up the mating surface, get any oil off of it. That way the shit will stick to it, because you don't want any schmoo getting up your fucking dilly dog. Alright, the next step is you're going to get any schmoo out of the oil pan bolts in there. Anything in there could cause your block to crack if you get a bunch more in there when you're resealing it. So like this one right here in specific, you got a whole bunch of schmoo on there, so we're just going to clean that up with a tap that's the same size. That, and we're putting more schmoo back in there. So you don't want that schmoo. Get the schmoo out. Put a little bit of oil on top. Take it in by hand,
at the beginning, get her down in there until she's all the way on the threads. And you can tell it's perfectly sized because she threads right in by hand. And you just take your, I use a drill just to make it a little quicker. Nice and slow. The one on the left, I put through the tap already. The one on the right, I haven't touched yet. You can see how much I actually cleaned up the threads in there. You don't want any gook in there. You want a nice, clean connection. So this is an 8 125. Alright, so now comes the wondrous part of putting this RTV on here. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to go in this ridge right here, go under, in the ridge, under. So we're about to put the RTV on. I got Grey high temp gasket maker RTV. Looks like this. I don't know if this is a name brand or anything, but so we're putting this guy on right here. We're gonna go in the channel, underneath, across, and we're shooting basically from an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch is what we're trying to get inside there. 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch. I'm probably gonna shoot closer to a 1/4 inch since I've already had to do this once. And we're doing it again because I used a quart gasket. Like I said, don't use that damn quart gasket. It's a piece of shit. Alright, so you can see what I did here. I think I did a pretty good job. Went around. So now we gotta wait 8 to 12 minutes. So right at 8, we're gonna go ahead and fucking start to put her together. And then you gotta wait an hour to actually torque everything down. Before this actually tacks, I'm gonna go ahead and spray her down one more time, wipe it down one more time underneath just to make sure there's no oil on it. I just took a paper towel to it. There's a little bit of residue, so gotta make sure. Okay, be very, 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 very careful. See, the hardest part is actually mounting it up by yourself. It really is. Just getting it situated up there without anybody's help is a pain. So just so you know, the 2 short bolts, I repeat, the 2 short bolts go by the exhaust part. They're the 2 ones that are really hard to get to. RTV, I have to wait 1 hour after initially installing to go ahead and torque everything down. So I set a timer. What I'm going to do is get my torque wrench ready with the 12 mil on it. That way I can torque her down right at an hour, 10-15 minutes, something like that. Perfect. That way she's set. Cross my fingers, cross my heart, do everything in my power to hope that this damn thing doesn't leak again. Because I mean, the thing is when you're putting it on, that's really the most critical part, and it's the hardest part. And I think I got it on there. I'm like about 90% sure. But the thing is that there's always that 10% doubt in the back of your mind, no matter how thorough you are with this kind of thing. But I digress. Alright, so if we look at here in the service manual, oil pan bolts 69 to 95 inch-pounds. So we've got this guy right here set to 81 inch-pounds, right in between. Should be good to go. We just got to wait for her to go, and then we'll turn her back on and get her set. God damn it, I need an extension. Ugh. But we've torqued everything down. You've got to wait 24 hours before you can actually put oil in it and for everything to seal up, do all that fancy jazz. I don't really understand it, but apparently, you know, it's gonna ask you for a favor. Can we both bow our heads in prayer that I did that right? Lord baby Jesus, 7 pounds, 2. So 24 hours later, now we're ready to fill it up with the oil. So since we let everything get completely dry oil-wise, what we're going to do is take this fuse box cover off. This green fuse right here. Unless it's been replaced in your car, it might not be green, but it's the one back from right here. This is your fuel pump relay. Pull this guy out. That way we can prime the oil pump And yeah, so that way we don't have it run dry for a second. So, when you're doing this, inside the car, you'll see the oil light. It'll turn off once it's actually primed. Then just turn it over like 2 more times, and then you're ready to actually start it back up. So, the oil light turned off in the car. I'm going to go ahead and put this green fuse back in right here. You can hear it re-energize the whole system. And now we're going to start it up. So now to test it out, you're going to want to get it up to operating temperature, because that's when you're going to spot any leaks. The oil's going to get more viscous as the car heats up, so it'll seep out of smaller holes and stuff like that. But yeah, we're going to check. Got our fingers crossed. It's looking good so far though.
I'm not seeing any oil leaks. And I mean, it was pouring out before. So we'll have to check in the next few days, make sure we don't see anything. But
Yeah, it's looking good from what I can see, so woohoo! So from everything we can see, it looks like we completely got it made. We did it. It's perfect. No leak. Oh God, thank God. All right. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is put an oil cooler on the Fiesta ST. I'm just waiting for the intercooler to come in as well, so that way I don't have to take the front bumper off twice, and that'll be my next video. So if you like the content that I'm putting out, feel free to subscribe, and yeah, see you next time.